Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome to the Christmas edition of the Hawg Talk podcast. I'm Porter Hayes. Adam Hall is beside me as always, and we are brought to you by Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. Tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about Arkansas, Houston, and break down the college football playoff first round in Harding football falling in the finals to Ferris State. We'll get right to it. From what Cal said, I mean, it just seemed like Arkansas never had a chance in the game, and they fall to Houston yesterday. So, Adam, I mean, I didn't have a chance to watch the game. I was doing family things, candlelight service and stuff, so I didn't have a chance to really watch the game, but I went over some stats and stuff. But what was your takeaways from the game and just thoughts on, getting down by 21 points and trying to dig yourself out of the hole and coming up short in the end?
It was tough. It was tough to watch. I mean, there was times that you're getting frustrated. Arkansas hadn't played a team that was this good defensively, and it showed, especially with the guards. But I know a lot of us aren't ones to blame things on the rest. I know I've said time and time again, you can't leave the game in the hands of the referee. And no, it didn't come out to the end here, but the fouls that were or weren't called on Arkansas, there were some stretches there that it was just like every little touch that Arkansas had on Houston was called for a foul. And it wasn't going Arkansas's way in the first half. But then I feel like a lot of calls were in Arkansas's favor. It felt like for a while there, any 50-50 ball that Arkansas went after, it was given to Houston, whether it be foul, turnover, whatever. So things like that, though, I mean, that wasn't the cause for you to get down 21 points. They clawed their way back to single digits. I kind of felt good at halftime. You were down, I think, 8 points. You were down 6 points against Texas Tech in similar fashion. So it was something that I'm like, okay, we've been here. And it just never came to fruition in the second half. And it was tough. Houston proved why they were in the national championship last year, why they should have been there. And I think that they're poised to potentially make another run to it. Their defense is tremendous.
Yeah. And from the stats, you're looking at Darius Acuff again, 27 points. Malik Ewan, I mean, really come out. I mean, 10 of 17 from the free throw line, was really his big flaw there, but 5 of 9 shooting, 20 points. Billy Richmond had 12, and then DJ Wagner had 11. What we were talking about on Thursday's show was in order for Arkansas to win, we're going to have somebody outside step up. Well, he did, but then you had Trevin Brazile with 5 points. You look on the other side of the ball of the court. You had Raymond Walker Jr. He's averaging 3 points a game. He ends up scoring 12. And then on top of their top 3 scores, had 21, 22, and 13. There's your difference. When you look at, you could talk about getting in a hole and you're 21 points, but when you look at, they had all their scores going on all cylinders, and then you have somebody step up that's normally giving you 3 points. Now they're giving you 12. And you look at the score of the game. I mean, that right there is the difference in the game. If, from a hypothetical standpoint of that's what you need to do. If Trevor Brazile has another on game, and you were talking about it during the game with me through text message of, it just seems like Trevor Brazile was having trouble against a good defense getting going and scoring. He has a normal game. Arkansas wins. That's what you got to do. And look, let's get down to it. I mean, this was a tough schedule. You still have James Madison left on your non-con in 9 days on the 29th. But this is going to be a time where it's going to test you come March. You're going to be ready for this. But also Malik Thomas, he went 3 of 8, 7 points. You've got to get him going. Something's got to click with him. It's almost like he's a freshman that was on a Musselman team. Like it's going to take him until January, February to get clicking. I don't know what's going on there, but Yeah, Carter Knox, same way. He comes and goes. It's like him and Malik Thomas are trying to find their way. You get these guys going. Again, you're playing a tough, probably one of the toughest defensive teams you'll face all year. One of.
Mm-hmm. And Trevor Brazile got into foul trouble early, so I think it was I think he had only played 7 to 9 minutes in the first half, if that. So that was one thing that, I mean, you're not in the game, you're not going to be able to get into a rhythm. And then when he came out in the second half, he, I think, got to the free throw line, which is okay. And then his first shot of the game, I mean, was a three from 3 to 5 feet behind the 3-point line that was the air ball. And it was just kind of like, that's not the first shot of the game that you need to take.
Yeah.
Malik Thomas, this 3-game stretch has been tough. And I can't say that it's going to take, halfway through the SEC game for him to find his rhythm, like we'll say happened with Carter Knox last season. But something, whatever is going on, I mean, I there's no doubt in my mind that he'll snap out of it. It's just a matter of when. But, this schedule, I was chatting with some buddies last night, and, one of them was pretty put off in the sense of how good this team is. And to lose 3 games already, he was over it. But, I was looking at the other side of it that, you lost to the now number 3, the now number 9, and the number 8 team in the country. It's not like and you didn't get blown out of any of those games. So, yeah, you were down 21 points here. But the schedule was made for a reason. Cal's talked about it. You don't want to start off the SEC season 0-5. No. You want to be geared up and ready to go when Tennessee comes to Fayetteville on January 3rd. So I think that this is I'm going to play that clip of Cal real quick because, I mean, like he talked about, this is the only game that he's felt like they were out of it.
We played 5 ridiculously top 10 teams. 5. We're 2-3. This is the only one that I never felt we had a chance. The others, I thought we could have won both of them. This one kind of got away, and then their guard play kind of dominated us.
Yeah, because, I mean, that was one of those, like, you got within 9 points, got within 8 points, and then it was just Houston would hit a 3 or hit 2 threes, get a big turnover, and then inflate that lead back up to 16-ish points. You just could never get back close enough.
Yeah, it just seems like remnants of the Duke game.
Mm-hmm.
Outside, I mean, I guess from the way you're talking about the refs, but it just seemed like, we were following along. I'll tell you what, I don't know who's a fan of the new ESPN app, but I love the fact that with my new smartphone in the update, I can have my phone off or on the home screen, and the score is at the very top.
Oh, on the live notifications or whatever. Yeah.
And it keeps it going. So, we're during, doing what dudes do. And, during the service, we're looking and checking the core. And you said it perfectly. It always seemed like they never got back within 10 points there towards the end. And it was like, you've seen, again, just like the Duke game, they just could not get in a rhythm to cut that lead to where, and he said it perfectly, because you're talking about basketball. You never thought you had a chance to win the game. If you're down by 11 and you get it to 8 and it's pushed back double digits, or you get it to 7, it seems like 7's that threshold, because one more basket now turns into a 9 or 10 point game, and it does something to you mentally. If you can go on a 5-0 run, 7-0 run, and cut that thing to 5 or 6, where it's a 2-possession game, now you're like, okay, all we got to do is get a stop when we're back into this game. It's a 1-possession game. It's something between that 7 and 10 range that just you keep moving it back and forth, 7 to 10 points, and then it goes back to 12 or 13. Then you're knocking on the door to get it at 7, but one, 3-point or one miss, opportunity on defense, now it's a double-digit lead. And that's just how it seemed like rolling through the game. But another thing I noticed on the scores, the stat sheet was, how suffocating Houston's defense was. They had 19 points off turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge. And we knew that this was a chance or this was a possibility coming into this game, playing somebody who they're only giving up 57.7 points a game. You knew it was going to be a defensive battle. How would the guards do? How would the youth do? How would DJ Wagner do? Would he come in and step up and be that mentor to help them out? And it just seemed like they dug themselves in a hole, tried to get back. But again, you said it perfectly. That's why Houston is the team they are and the program they are. And that's why they won, because this is a seasoned team that knows. That's a well-coached team that knows how to, when you have a lead like that, to keep the lead. Arkansas's been there, so Arkansas can do it. And it's going to come big. You got one game, and then you got SEC play. So I'll take the 9-3 record because you played a hell of a schedule. You know, you played some tough games, and yeah, you're 2-3 in those big time games, but you won 2 of them. You're in every game. I mean, I know we have to separate football from basketball on this. There is such thing as this as moral victories in a sense, because the season's not over. You take this now in December and you carry it with you into March and April when you're in a deep tournament run.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then, you know, Arkansas adjusted because when they got down 21 points, 14 of those 19 points off turnovers came in the first half. So Arkansas had adjusted. Arkansas was down 21 and I believe went on like a 7-0 run, get it down to 14. You know, then they get it within 9 before halftime. So that right there, Cal and Arkansas adjusted. It was just, you could never pull within 7. And it was, whether it was there were times, you know, as great as Acuff was yesterday, you know, there was a few times that you could tell he was getting frustrated by the guards he's playing against in the defense. Some of that frustration, I feel like, too, comes from the teammates, others not being able to, or not playing well against good defenses, not moving the ball as well. People aren't moving as freely. And then one thing they talked about, too, what did Houston do that they hadn't done the entire season? Houston switched to a zone. And that threw Arkansas off a bit, as it does no matter who the coach is at the University of Arkansas. We always struggle with zone defenses. So Kelvin Sampson did what they needed. They threw things at Arkansas that they weren't prepared for. But that's what good defensive teams do. But I mean, you look at it, Houston's typically giving up 57 points per game, and you scored 80 on them. So, or 85 actually. So we were wrong in the sense of saying that Arkansas needed to score 70 points to win this game, because, you know, I didn't believe that Houston would have the capability of scoring 94. But I do think that this goes to show that Arkansas is not a good defensive team like we've talked about.
Yeah. And you look at the free throw discrepancy, you're talking about, you know, Houston shot 19 or made 9 free throws, but they only shot 25. So Arkansas went 21 of 35 from the free throw line, 60%. And that's going to be a thing too that needs to have work, because that's another thing that goes into, you know, you get deep into the tournament, you get deeper in the season in the SEC play. That's where they're going to start fouling you. They're going to start making you beat them at the free throw line, and you can't. I mean, if you want, I mean, he missed seven free throws, but Pringle was 0 of 2. Billy Richmond 0 of 1. I mean, you got to come in clutch, and they only missed 6 free throws. Another thing, you're talking about switching that zone. Arkansas was 8 of 20 from the 3-point line. You know, if you're going to chuck up 20, 25 threes, you better make more than 8. I mean, you're not going to win games by shooting that many threes and hitting single digits. But the defense needs work. I mean, this is going to be a good game on the 29th to really, all right, final dress rehearsal before SEC play. And you get these things in order. But 1, defense; 2, free throws; 3, you've got to have a consistent third. You got to have a consistent third score.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you really need a consistent third score, whether it's Brazil or whoever, because now when you have a Wagner step up and hit 11, Billy Richmond step up and hit 12, you have that consistent third score that's giving you 15, because of Acuff, he's going to give you 27, you know, and Malik Ewan gives you 20. It'd have been nice to have somebody else give you 20 points or another double-digit score.
It's something, I mean, I'm looking at this. I mean, I get Cal messes with the rotation here and there. Um, I kind of look at Pringle getting 10 minutes, and I feel like those 10 minutes were too much. I mean, I understand you got to take Ewan out, and I believe, oh, I don't remember if he had 2 fouls in the first half, Ewan did, or if it was split. But I mean, I would have pushed Ewan as long as he could go, and maybe it's one of those things. I don't know where this team is at when it comes to the bench, and I know Pringle. There's been talk like I guess he's been having back issues, and maybe that's some of it. And you're trying to play through it, and you're trying to get ready before the SEC season starts. But here we are, with what happens if one of these guys go down, and like we talked about last season, with only having 6-7 guys that could go.
Yeah.
I just question where are we at with the bench, and I get some of these guys may not be ready. I know some of them have dealt with their own injuries before the season started and in practice and stuff, but we kind of heard before the season like, hey, we're going to run with 10 to 12 guys, and here we are only playing 8, and one of those 8 only playing 10 minutes. So I just wonder if what's going on with the bench at this point.
Yeah. And look, I mean, we got to be real. We got to call a spade on this. You hear from the football team how fast and how strong they're going to be. You hear about, okay, this O-line is going to be great this year. This is going to be a different team. Our defense is great. And then it doesn't pan out. You hear stuff like that over and over. Now we're hearing again how deep this team is. This is going to be different. We're going to be able to run 8, 9, 10 guys. I mean, our 10th guy is ready to go, but it's not producing. You said it perfectly. You're going to have 8 to 10 guys all ready to go if you're going to make a run in the SEC. This conference is too tough. You can't do it with 6, 7 guys. You need 8. And if it comes to the point to where you're running with 6 or 7 and those next 3 to 4 are just not panning out, it's going to start becoming a trend, and the questions are going to start getting asked. All right, what's going on with this team, with this program? We've been hearing for 2 years now that this is going to be a deep team. This team is going to make a Final Four run. And if you get bounced out in the first or second round, the questions are going to start getting asked because there's going to be fatigue. You got to make a Sweet 16 run, or you got to make an Elite 8, and you got to have your roster ready to go. Especially when you've trained them with a non-conference schedule like this. If this turns around and bites them in the butt and they start, let's say they don't start 0-5, but what if they finish 0-5? What if this comes on the back end of the schedule and they go on a 0-5 run to end the regular season, and then you're heading into SEC play like you started last season?
We're frustrated a little bit, but at the same time, like I told, my buddies in the tech, like this was done for a reason. Coach Cal and this roster will be fine. I think that Acuff is showing why he was brought here. And it's one of those that I think he becomes more of the vocal leader as we get into SEC season. At some point, I do think that Malik Thomas will find himself. I think these last 3 games have just been that 3+ game stretch that all these players have gone through at some point in time. I think we should be used to Brazil. I mean, being hit and miss. I do feel like this season he is more hit than miss, which is good. So it's frustrating at times because you have such high expectations and you know how talented this team is, but at the same time, it's nothing to turn your nose up to. I mean, it's one of those. They'll be fine when SEC season gets here. There's other teams in the SEC that are struggling more than us. That I feel, they showed the record last night, SEC versus Big 12, and then other power conferences. And I mean, this year the other power conferences are beating the SEC. SEC has a losing record to these other conferences. It's going to be a scrap when SEC play gets here, and I think Arkansas is in the best position to run through the SEC. Are they going to get through unscathed? No, absolutely not. But at the same time, I don't think talent-wise there's any roster in the SEC that can match up with Arkansas when they're clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the expectations are higher, because you know how deep this team is. I mean, you got 4 McDonald's All-Americans. You have 2 potential lottery picks. You know, it's one of them things where Malik's got to get his thing going. He's got to get to the point to where he is coming out of his shell. He's got to go up there. I'm not saying he's got to give you as many points as Darius Acuff, but I don't know. And pure speculation. You know, there was a lot of talk of Malik Thomas. There was talk of Acuff, but I think that's flip-flop now. You know, and how has that affected things? Has that affected his role? Has that affected his mindset of coming in thinking he's going to be the guy? Acuff's kind of taking that away from him. And is he dealing with it? Again, pure speculation. Not saying that's the case, but it's something to think about, because when we're looking at these guys and lottery picks and NIL, you know, you're trying to come to Cal and be a lottery pick. There's a lot of pressure on you. And a lot of that has little to do with you playing for the University of Arkansas. It's you playing for yourself and going out there and getting the minutes and getting the points to show the scouts you are a lottery pick.
Unless you're AJ DeBansta and you just hang it up for the season.
Yeah, it's
or no, not AJ DeBansta.
No.
The guy for Kansas, isn't it?
Yes,
Darren Peterson.
Yep,
Kansas. Darren Peterson. I think they just he appeared in four games, 10 games, something like that, and he's done for the season.
First thing you texted me was, "What about his NIL? Does he get full NIL?" And that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where we're headed, and that transitioned into, you know, our second segment of the show. We're going to get into college football playoffs. We're going to get into NIL of, you know, Arizona State, Dillingham. He was talking about it. Was it the Nevada coach?
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about it. So what we're going to do, we are going to take a quick commercial break. After the break, we're going to give you the results of the college football playoffs, talk about round 1 a little bit, and then we'll dive into NIL and what my thoughts of a plan that, or we could see this thing be in the next 5, 10 years from now. We'll be back right after a break. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and the supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need, whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck. Plus, our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than ATU Ozark Campus. As a 2-year satellite campus of Arkansas Tech University, we're dedicated to a quality workforce education, industry partnerships for in-demand jobs, and tailored paths for success. Our programs are led by industry professionals. Whether it's a certificate or you're aiming for a graduate degree, ATU Ozark has you covered. Visit our website at www.atu.edu/Ozark or contact us at 479-667-2117. Your future begins here.
Welcome to Ozark Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is simple: encourage, promote, and aid an enduring environment of shared economic opportunity and civic development for the Ozark, Arkansas area. Whether you're a local business owner or a resident, we've got something for you. Shop our unique local businesses, explore the beauty of Ozark, and savor local flavors and find cozy accommodations. Join us in building a stronger community, and to learn more, contact us at 479-667-2525. Remember, together we thrive.
And welcome back to the Hawg Talk podcast. Knox is seeing his draft stock drop each game. Yes, I mean, absolutely. He was, again, we talked about this last episode about him and Thero at one point in time last season. Heroes, they're going to step up. Can't wait for them to come back. I don't know. Let me ask you this before we dive into college football. What are you more surprised about, Adam? Knox or Malik Thomas?
Malik Thomas. Honestly, I mean, just the way he started this season and this stretch, I kind of am surprised by it. With Knox, because we've seen it before, I'm not as surprised. I think I'm just a little bit more disappointed. Is not the right word, because I'm truly not disappointed in him. It's just there was a lot of hype.
I guess let's not throw disappointed out there. Yeah, that was my bad. I used the wrong word. So
there was just a lot of hype about him coming back and building on those things that he learned from the combine about where his draft stock is, and I just expected more early on. And like I said, if we see it halfway through the SEC season, great. I better late than never. I just didn't expect it after all of the offseason buildup for him.
I have to agree. I have to agree with Thomas, because you thought you were having this dynamic duo come in, and again, you are talking about two freshmen coming in, and you look at the schedule Arkansas's had, and it's funny. What we criticize the football team for is talking about the schedule. Now we're talking about basketball. Look at the schedule. Look at the schedule. We've said it multiple times, but you're playing top 10 teams. Your 3 losses are against top 10 teams. And you just want to see more from him. You want to see that production. And look, if he could give you 15 a game, he don't have to give you 20, just give you 15 a game, 15, 17 a game every night. That's where he needs to be. That's where his expectations should be, because if he's giving you 15, A-Cup's giving you 17 to 20, and then you have Knox come in, or Brazil. Brazil's got to step up. This is year 5 or year 6 for him.
18, I don't know.
Yeah.
7, whatever it is, 6 or 7, somewhere 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there.
But you look at Knox, and I'll say Knox and Brazil. You put them in the same category. This is their time to shine. This is their time to prove, to raise their draft stock. Ty Richardson, ESPN Arkansas Morning Rush was talking about, they were talking on the show about Brazil being a contender, or is he up there like first team All-American? You got to look at who he's in contention with, Toppin and Boozer. You look at him as a player, and you're like, okay, he could be an All-American type player. He could be an NBA type player, but then you remember who he's playing against in position wise, and you're standing him next to Toppin and Boozer, and you're like, oh no, he's not close as an all-around player, because of times like this when it really comes to the point where you got to consistently give 20 points a game, 10 rebounds. So he's got to, if he's not going to give you 10 rebounds, he needs to make that up in points or assists or steals or blocks. He's got to be the one that steps up, because this is it. He came back for a reason, and you got to see more production out of him and Knox.
I agree. I mean, but he's statistically, he's having the best season that he's had in college. 14 points, 7 rebounds, 1.4 blocks, 1.4 steals, 80% from the free throw line, 45% from the 3-point, almost 46% in 3-point line. So it's just these guys figuring themselves and this team out. And my last little bit on this team, and it's kind of the Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas before they got to Arkansas. I question some of it too. We talk about Acuff in a sense being a little bit under the radar compared to Malik Thomas. How much does that have to do with social media and something like Overtime Elite pushing out as much content that they do for their players versus, IMG? Everybody at IMG is top tier. I wonder if that was a little bit of the reason why Darius Acuff has been kind of under the radar to a lot of fans.
Yeah, exactly. And right, yeah, when you're talking about the men's basketball team and this Overtime Elite, and I'm going to South Carolina because it always takes me back to the Eli Ellis. He's averaging 10.2 points a game at South Carolina. Him and Malik Thomas were the top two players in the Overtime Elite. And you look at a team like South Carolina where he should be the one scoring. They're horrible as a team. He should be averaging 17 points a game, but he is shooting 23% from the 3-point line. He is shooting 40% from the field goal. Total, averaging 10 points a game. So is it because they run this run and gun style AAU ball and Overtime Elite? Now you're getting into college. How is that affecting things? Is it taking Thomas longer? And it should be the same thing with Ellis. Is it taking them longer to get adjusted to this college ball? Playing top teams, but you're playing against guys that are 23, 22, 24 years old. You're not playing in this high school Overtime Elite league. You're not having all these cameras on just you showing your highlight films. You're not just the guy. You're amongst a group of players that are just as good as you, if not better. That's going to take. So you got 9 days to get ready for James Madison on the 29th, and then you roll right into SEC play. So look, one more game, non-conference SEC town. That's where it starts mattering. Really, if you look at it, seed line, there's still probably a 5-6 seed line, according to Joe Lunardi. It's 0-0 now, conference time. Let's see how they fare. Let's see how many of these teams in the SEC are legit, or is it one of them things where they just start cannibalizing each other and everybody's going to be sitting there close to 500 other than one or two teams?
It's coming up quick.
Moving on to college football, we had the first round of the college football playoff. Everything started with Alabama, Oklahoma. What I loved, I didn't love it because I wanted Oklahoma to win. Just the reaction of everybody when OU went up 17-0.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it was going to happen. And I on myself almost texted you and I deleted it because I was like, hold on, let's wait this out. And there was one play that really just changed the aspect of that game. Mateer almost gets sacked, scrambles out of the pocket, throws a bomb downfield, hits the player in the hands, and he drops it on third down. Then you muff a punt. The guy just dropped it. Mm-hmm. So they scored. Then they muffed the punt. Now he went from 17-0 to 17-10 like that. And from then on, Bama took over. And once you get a crowd out of the game, it's even. And Bama showed that they still have it. They showed why, with an offense like OU, their offense wasn't clicking. Mateer, he had wrap around his thumb. He took it off and he was trying to sidearm things and just fling it. A lot of the throws were sailing on him. And they just seemed like that the crowd atmosphere, the fans were getting into the game, and it was really hard for Simpson to get a rhythm. But once he got a rhythm, once this defense got going, you see OU was held to 7 points in the second half. So what it was, 34-24 was the end. So, and then you go into the next one, Ole Miss, Tulane, 41-10. The game, Miami, Texas A&M, 10-3. That came right down to the wire. Marcel Reed throwing an interception there at the
I blame Texas A&M's yell leaders, male cheerleaders, whatever you want to call them. There are so many videos going this weekend of them trying to talk trash to Miami or about Miami, and I don't know, but that's ridiculous in and in itself. And I mean, the Oklahoma and Oklahoma fans just need to realize that y'all are the NCAA version of the Dallas Cowboys. Just accept it.
Yeah.
I think it's the best
Absolutely.
comparison I've heard recently is just that they're the full-on equivalent of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. I mean, you had the game in the bag. You had that game in the bag and you let them come back. And it was just like Auburn game. You know, you get down, you come back, they win the game, and then you had the Oregon James Madison 51-34, which I was surprised to see that James Madison even scored 34 points on Oregon. I don't care if it's on their second team or not, but you know, Texas A&M, for everyone saying they deserve to be in, 3 points. If that would have happened to a team outside of the SEC, I think they would have got massacred a lot more than I'm not seeing a lot. I mean, I'm seeing more about their cheerleaders than the fact that you scored 3 points in a college football playoff game. I mean, you can't do that.
No, I mean, and I had when all of us picked A&M in our pick, I'm like, it was one of those that in my head, I was like, I need to go against this because, you know, we talked about it Thursday, what Texas Tech was going to show up because they had a fairly easy SEC schedule. I think that the Texas Longhorns showed Texas A&M kind of who they actually were, that they had already peaked during the season. You know, it's one of those, I forget what the final score against the Arkansas A&M game was, but the A&M had too many of those close games against teams they shouldn't have had close games against. So Miami, you know, I don't trust Carson Beck for anything, but all in all, he didn't have to do anything. The defense for Miami showed up. So, and I know a lot of those Miami, especially the defensive line, kind of took to heart some of the stuff that had came out from Texas A&M offensive line. So they did what they needed to do. And like I text, you know, I don't think Miami will get past Ohio State.
No.
But it would be funny to see Miami versus Georgia for Carson Beck to go against, you know, his former team.
Yeah.
I don't think Vegas will have that one happen, but you never know. I still think that Ohio State does have the easiest path out of all teams. We'll see what happens. You know, Texas Tech and Oregon coming up, Indiana, Alabama. I look at this again, you know, like you brought up about James Madison scoring 34 points. Yeah, it was, you know, probably against the second, third team, whatever. Once again, these smaller schools, they have no business being in this. You would have had better competing games if you had put in, you know, who was truly at 11 and 12 and not teams that got there just because they won their conference.
Yeah. Who was the two? I know Notre Dame was one of them. Who was the other one?
Oh, I don't remember who was left out. CFP.
I know. Was it Utah?
Notre Dame was the biggest snub. BYU or Vanderbilt were three that.
So, what would you have loved to have seen Vanderbilt and Oregon?
Here's my thing against Vanderbilt right now.
Or what do you think they would have been at Texas A&M? Do you think they'd have been Texas A&M if you'd have let them in?
Vanderbilt, potentially. Yeah. I can't root for anything Vanderbilt right now because of the way that Diego Pavia has been acting. And yeah, I know he came out and apologized or whatever, but the way his demeanor and how he's been acting, I'm kind of like, you know what, dude? Like, and now I hear that he's trying to sue or get another year of eligibility. So he knows he's not going to end up at the NFL. He's going to end up in the CFL, if anywhere. I honestly would have rather seen, you know, a BYU or hell, bring in Notre Dame just so they could lose at some point. So we can say, hey, once again, this is why you don't belong here either, because you can't play in a conference. But no, I think this is just further evidence of, you know, these smaller schools, the James Madison, the Tulane, like you're out of your element here.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, man. I would have loved to have seen. Let me make sure they didn't play. 45-42 was that score, by the way. The A&M Arkansas game.
Yeah.
Because when you look at, I don't think they played Oregon. BYU didn't play Oregon. So BYU, Oregon, and Notre Dame, Ole Miss. I think that would have been two very good matchups, and I think that's where it needs to go. Peter Burns put out 16 teams. Your 5 conference champions get in, and then you don't not guaranteed seeds or not guaranteed buys. You let them in. You have 11 at-large bids, 5 conference champions, and then you seed those 12 or 16, 1 through 16, and play ball. That's how it should be. 11 at-large bids is plenty enough to figure out. Yes, you're always going to have a 17 and 18 getting out, but I think we're proving it this year where you let 2 in, and you had 2 teams on the outside. If you want to throw in BYU and Notre Dame, that deserved to be in. And if you want, you could have been very well. Look at OU and look at Texas A&M. So it is an easy case to say Vandy would have done the same thing. But G5 schools do not have any business being in this at all. And we're going to hear a clip from the Nevada coach on the NIL and what he's done. And so take a listen to this and we'll talk about it.
All right. You know what happens when you come to Nevada? You go get 1.4 million to go to Oregon if you're developed the right way, right? You know, a guy that couldn't play consistently at the University of Texas got drafted when he came here, right? A guy that was a junior college guy, a walk-on, ended up becoming a first-team Mountain West player, and then went and got a bag at West Virginia. A guy that was kind of a sometimes player at Butte College comes here, gets developed, and becomes a first-team All-Mountain West player. A journeyman safety from the Big Sky Conference comes here and becomes a second-team All-Mountain West player. Like, that's one of the things that we're selling. I think we have a good staff. I think we know how to develop people. And now I do think that resonates. Like, where can I go from there? Especially for some of these guys that are going, hey, it didn't work out for me, stop one. I think I've got some talent and ability. I need to go somewhere where I can grind and work and be developed. And part of that is playing, right? You know, you're not going to get better at football by watching somebody else play football. You have to play football. Now, part of the problem is now some of these guys get paid so much to watch people play football that they're really not interested in working that hard. I'm not interested in those guys. That's what I love about some of these JUCO guys. They're hungry, they're humble, they want to work. A lot of times the guys that we had success with, especially on the line this last year, Jack and Zach, elevating from the FCS level and really playing up a level for them and showcasing what they can do. And I think some of that is getting a little bit better coaching too. And so that development piece is a big part of what we sell. Opportunity, development, and relationships, you know, outside of all the other stuff.
Yeah. So me and Adam were talking today, you know, about this, and I kind of brought it up in a previous show of, you know, the landscape of college football is changing. And where do we see college football? What happens to the smaller schools if they break away and do a 32-team power conference, or if they do, and we've even talked about, you know, these investment groups are getting in with these schools now. What happens if big investors start going after a lot of these schools? What if Arkansas picked up by a big private equity place? Well, you have a formula where I think if you want all the schools to win and it be beneficial for everybody, it's going to end up being just like Major League Baseball. I have a feeling your Power Four is going to be like your equivalent to your AAA, Group of Five, AA, your FCS, Single A. And it's going to be a similar situation because just like he said, somebody's going to go to Nevada. They're not going to stay there 4 years. They're going to get developed and they're going to move up. So what happens if you go to a Group of Five? Look Memphis or UCF or whoever. I know UCF's now in Big 12, but I'm talking about, you know, you go to these. Now you move up to a Power Four. You're going to have now where you could have a case for a 5th year because you're talking about developing. You're talking about getting up to the AAA level, the Power Four, making a difference. You look at Diego Pavia, starting out from the JUCO level, was a 2-star prospect coming out, and now you're a Heisman finalist. And I really want to touch on that for a second. I think it's all because of social media. I think that's all a gimmick. I think it's all a play. You look at Pat McAfee, how flamboyant he is, what he's done for College Game Day. You look at what ESPN is now. All it is 8 hours of hot takes and people shouting things, and it gets popularity. Look at Jake Paul. Goes out there and just gets obliterated in the 6th round, breaks his jaw when he finally faces a true boxer. But look how many eyes are on that.
$92 million to get your jaw broke.
$92 million. But you
Each
think
of them.
about it. It's easy to criticize Diego, but what's his plan? You think he's really going to be an NFL quarterback?
He's going to go work for Barstool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his future as a CFL or something like Barstool.
So think about it. Get the money. You're getting a bag in college. You're out of time. Make the most of it, because this time next year, we're not going to remember who Diego Pavia was. And that's the hard truth. This is no knock on him. There's no disrespect to him or anybody else. It's just the sad truth. The era we're in social media, you want to get the most while you can. That's why they call it the 15 minutes of fame. This is his 15 minutes of fame. Do I think that is truly who he is personally? No. You go way back, Adam, to Deion Sanders. And Deion Sanders knew, him being a defensive player, he would not get the same limelight as a quarterback or a running back. That's why he started Prime. That's where prime time come from. That's where prime come from. You make the alter ego to where you stand out. Now, guess what? All eyes are on you, and he's done it for 30-something years, and everybody wonders why he's that way as a head coach. When your brain is programmed like that for 30 years, guess what? You're going to be that way. But that's what's working now. Pat McAfee went from a punter in the NFL to one of the most popular people on ESPN right now. Why? Because he's flamboyant. He is speaking up. He is not afraid to take his shirt off. He's not afraid to go against the grain. That's where we're at, guys. So, yes, Diego Pavia showed his ass, but you can't blame him, because you're seeing what's popular on social media now. You're seeing who's popular. You're seeing somebody come in that has been on his own show, let's say 4 or 5 years. He's been in the WWE. Now he's the most popular person at ESPN, arguably. That's where it's at.
Well, backtracking to Nevada's coach.
Right.
And it's the text that I sent you after us talking about him is kind of what he's talking about. Like, come here, develop, go somewhere else. I think that now you're going to have, and especially with these investment firms, capital investment companies buying stakes in teams or buying teams, that I think it's going to put some small coaches like him into this, like I said, this developer bubble, which I feel like a couple things could happen there. That's going to either hinder somebody like him from getting bigger jobs, but I think that coaches, maybe not him in particular, but like him, would also accept that you're known as a developer and you're going to get kickbacks. And I'm just going to use Oregon here as the example because he brought them up. And those kickbacks that I talk about, it could be NIL help from Oregon, Dan Lanning, so that he can get players, develop them to send them to that school. And some may be like, oh, why would they send NIL to him? Whatever. They can do it in donations, however they want to do it. Oakland's basketball coach was talking, I believe it was yesterday.
I was just looking that up. Yeah.
With Tom Izzo in Michigan State. Yep. He took the $500,000 donation or whatever it was, or however they raised those funds, and he used it to NIL. So I can see that these schools partnering with, whether it's coaches that they have friends with or friendships with, or however that business decision works out, you've essentially got your developmental team, your G League team, your little brother team. Yep. And however they decide to work that out, I think you're going to start seeing these coaches that funnel these players to specific schools. And so then the question raises, hey, where's this NIL going to come from? Is it going to come from Nevada, or is it going to come from Oregon, or how are they going to work all that? Who knows? There's no telling where this is going to go now that we have capital investment companies coming in. But definitely, collective bargaining agreements are in the future. It's just a matter of where is this all going to sit in with the players? And do they look at, like the transplant and Texan brought up and you brought up, if you go to a G5, are you going to be able to get that extra year of eligibility? We've already seen it with JUCO. Hey, you played at JUCO, so now you can get that eligibility back. So maybe it's just a flat out, hey, you spent 4 years at a group of 5. If you want a 5th year, it's got to be at a Power 4 conference. What happens then? Do you get that extra year without a red shirt? Are you forced to go, if you want that extra year, to a Power 4? What happens whenever a Power 4 team doesn't want you?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things for them to figure out, but I think that's where it's headed. Is your group of 5 is now essentially your farm system for those Power 4 conferences, just like college football as a whole is your farm system for the NFL.
Yeah. Well, you look at some of these JUCO academically. Look at Connor State, where I went to school. I mean, it was a school off of Oklahoma State. You're gonna, what if, like you said it perfectly, and what if Michigan State agrees? We're going to play Nevada or Oakland. We're going to play Oakland every year, and we're going to pay them $1.8 million to play them. For a team like Oakland, there's your NIL.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you get it. That way you're talking about, but hey, Izzo, this guy's really good, but he's not good enough to play for me yet. We're going to send him to Oakland. My guy's going to, again, train him up, develop him, and he's going to come to me. Because guess what? Now you start doing these things, you could see less poaching. You could see less things going on behind closed doors because now there's a system. I'm not saying that stuff ain't going to still happen, but you're going to start seeing where we know where this is headed. We know that the Wild West, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because if you've already got one school getting capital investors and you're talking about $500 million, I mean, what if every school in that Power 4 gets that? If you're getting $500 million for your NIL or for your athletic program, you'll have the money to pass that down. And then you could fund. I mean, it sucks for all these secondary programs, these secondary sports. But when you're looking at the big 3, and I don't know if baseball is quite tapped into the NIL yet at the level of basketball and football, the popularity. But if you just go with your basketball and football, there's enough business, there's enough money to be involved where everybody, you don't have to worry about programs or schools being shut down. You link up with one of these Power 4 schools. You say, all right, we're going to be your funnel program. You put us on the schedule. It's legit. You pay us $2 million to play you. We'll come to your house every year. But you just give us some players who hell, in basketball, you can make a March Madness run. You might even beat the team that you're the farm system for. And then everybody gets to eat. Everybody gets money. And then you're developing. And in basketball, it's not as unfair as football because, just like I said, a team like Oakland can beat a team like Michigan State on any given night because that's how basketball is.
Well, we did just see, I mean, you bringing up that point. Let me see. Notre Dame basketball lost to Purdue Fort Wayne just a little while ago. So, in basketball, it's definitely a lot more feasible, but who knows where everything's going to be, like we've talked about the next 5 years, but it's a lot of things are happening and changing very quickly. And I think that this time next year will not look completely different, but we'll have a lot of new things.
We'll have a lot of answers too. I think with this new portal, if they change the calendar, if the college football playoff, which we should be hearing after the playoffs, should be hearing. I don't know when they decided to extend for the vote on the 16 team. I see it going to 16 teams. We're going to get a lot of answers on how everything shakes out with these teams, but it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it just depends on who's going to be the person that finally stops the emergency stop button because it's just getting too out of hand.
Absolutely.
Adam, you got anything else?
8:05 Hawg HQ Live.
I hit you before the hungry sign come up. So,
My finger was on the button.
all right, look, come back 8:05 to join Adam, DP, Matt at Hog HQ Live. For all of us here at the Hog Talk Podcast, we will not be going on for the next week or so. So we'll come back and let you know when our next episode is. But everyone out there listening, sponsors, we want to thank everybody for joining in tonight for the whole year. Thank you for being part of the crew. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Adam, you're going to be gone. Have you a safe trip, brother.
I will try. Thank you.
All right. Well, that will do it for this episode of the Hog Talk Podcast. Again, don't forget to come back at 8:05, catch Hog HQ Live. And also, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share button. Goes a long ways to help us at the podcast. And we will catch you on our next episode in 2026.